Good evening and welcome to Gravitas 24/7. I'm Tarkesh Jha, your host for this brief segment focusing on international news and relations. A country that demands moral perfection in its foreign policy will achieve neither perfection nor security. These words by Henry Kissinger ring a bell while observing the recent statements made by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at the Globsec Bratislava Forum conference in the Slovak Republic. The Russia-Ukraine war has certainly dominated headlines throughout this calendar year. Condemnations have flown in from all quarters. But an underlying trend often gone missed is the rise in the share of Indian oil imports from Moscow in this time being. Russian crude, which made up for only 2% of India's total imports of the commodity in the last fiscal, has sharply risen in this quarter amidst the Western sanctions imposed on Vladimir Putin's country. Indian refiners have exploited this opportunity to substantially enhance their imports of deeply discounted crude oil from Russia. And whilst this move attracted severe criticism in the aforementioned conference, Dr. Jaishankar swung into the defense of Indian companies while simultaneously holding a mirror to Europe's face as well. Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems and the world's problems are not Europe's problems. The External Affairs Minister was quoted in a report by the Associated Press. This follows the Union Minister's previous comment of Europe purchasing more Russian oil in an afternoon than what India does in the whole month during the India-US 2+2 meeting back in April this year. Figures show that Russian oil imports are set to make up for 25% of India's crude purchases as per the current trend. With the war in Ukraine having cascading global impacts, the Indian EM maneuvered through this conundrum as India evidently looks to break free from its energy dependence on Middle Eastern countries. Russian oil, procured at as much as 30% lesser cost than the other comparable crude, has certainly helped India keep its retail inflation in check with respect to other countries. Now sure, the fuel prices have skyrocketed for the general public, but the availability of crude from Moscow enabled the central government to carry out a steep excise duty cut on petrol and diesel in the month of May. Headline inflation is mainly composed of food and fuel prices, and India's most recent rate of 7.04% of the same is higher than the standards mandated by the Reserve Bank of India. However, it is significantly lesser than the 8.06% of the same recorded by the USA, 9.1% of headline inflation in the UK, and the 11.89% of the same in Brazil. Amongst all nations, Europe is certainly the most reliant on Russia for its energy imports. Oil and natural gas from Moscow comprise 25% and 40% of the European Union's imports of the commodities respectively. Last month, the 27-nation bloc came up with a declaration to reduce Russian oil imports by over 90% in the coming 6 months. Now, it is considered to be a watershed movement in Europe's foreign policy. Yet, certain analysts are skeptical over the actual implementation of this roadmap. There exist apprehensions over the continent's ability to see through the temporary rise in energy prices, and also the impact that it can potentially have on the prevalent political powers. On the other hand, India and China continue to ward off these concerns. Asia overtook Europe to become Russia's largest crude buyer in April this year. As per the current trend, India might only look to build upon its imports of crude oil from Russia. However, the question remains, how long can New Delhi safely navigate around this continuous pressure being exerted by the Western countries? The answer of the same might rest in the dexterity of India's foreign policy, something that in Kissinger's words cannot be morally perfect, but efficient and result-oriented in the presently complex global circumstances. Thank you for joining us at Gravitas 24/7. Stay tuned on the channel for further news and developments from right across the globe. I'm Tarkesh Jha signing off. Thank you very much.